¿Qué tal amigos de GuitarraMX? Yo soy Derek y estamos aquí con la leyenda detrás de las leyendas, guitarrista de Michael Jackson, Jeff Beck, entre otros muchos, también guitarrista solista. Estamos con Jennifer Batten. Jennifer, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Okay, well, this, like I said, it's just really quick. We just want to get to know you. I mean, playing with Michael Jackson, playing with Jeff Beck, what inspired you to play the guitar? Who inspired you to play the guitar?
That would be my sister, because she had a guitar and I didn't, and that pissed me off. So it was sheer jealousy. That was the big motivator. It was two parts. That and the Beatles.
The Beatles,
The
really?
Beatles hit big in my town.
Wow,
So,
okay.
you know, I had to have one.
So you started out with covers and stuff, or just went...
Well, I was 8 years old, so I took lessons right away, and I started learning to read out of the basic books.
Okay.
And as time went on, I got various teachers when the family would move. I had a folk teacher, one place that would teach me right-hand techniques.
All right.
And basic chords. And I had a blues teacher for a little while, and then a rock teacher.
Sweet.
Eventually I went to Musicians Institute, and that just kicked my butt.
How so?
Well, I flunked the test to get in.
Really?
Yeah, because I had learned all these techniques and all these songs, but I had not learned major and minor scales, chord scales,
Okay.
all the tools that you really need to make a living as a musician.
All right.
I just knew pentatonic scales, blues scales,
Okay.
and basic chords, There's no money beyond the third fret. They didn't tell me that until I learned everything up to here.
Perfect. So, Michael Jackson,
Yep.
Jeff Beck, there's something I would really want to ask you. I mean, obviously on stage you would improvise. I mean, I guess as a guitarist, that's something
Sure.
you really want to do. But
Yeah.
when you're playing with someone like Michael Jackson, I guess that it has to be played note for note, right?
Wrong,
Really?
sir. Well, as far as the parts, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I was the lucky one that didn't have to play things note for note. For instance, on a song, it depended on what tour. There was
Okay.
3 tours I was on, so it was different songs every tour.
Sure.
But I got to go off on working day and night, and that was just, I would play until he was done hearing me.
No kidding,
I would see him
really?
kind of walk towards the center and do a spin, and that was,
Those
we
are
tried to
cute.
sync it up so it was like my highest note hit when he landed. But for a gig like that, it is about parts.
Okay.
So, Billie Jean, that was played on the radio so much that everybody in the audience knows every nuance of it. They know the EQ and the snare.
Exactly.
So we spent a lot of time trying to get those sounds down and give them exactly what was on the record.
Okay.
Except, Greg Fillinganes would improvise his parts.
Okay.
Just to make it interesting every night, just to make it a little bit different. And then they would change the forms of the songs for dance. They might extend certain things for dance.
Or get the people singing or whatever, or...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, break it down. Break it down. And Jeff Beck was the exact opposite.
That's what I was getting
all
to.
about improv.
Really?
And, Michael wanted it the same every night, basically, and Jeff wanted it different every night.
God.
He wanted to be inspired.
Sure.
So, if I was going to choose 2 gigs from my life, those would be the top 2.
Obviously, great.
Yeah.
Is there, this is something as a personal note, is there the most memorable lick that you came up with? Was it on stage? Was it at home?
It would probably be at home.
Okay.
When I write music, I generally start by just jamming to jam tracks for an hour or 2, and you run through all the stuff that that you play all the time, and eventually I think you get into this thing where you're more channeling the heavens, and that's when new things happen.
Sure.
So
Looking for new sounds.
Yeah. And new connections. When you learn the board, you learn your scales and arpeggios and stuff, and you tend to. I think most people, at least 90% of what they play on a show is stuff they played before, but it's exciting when you make new connections. This riff going to this riff in a different way. And turning things upside down, inside out. That's when it gets to be really fun.
Can you talk to us about the guitar you have in your hand? It's a Washburn right now.
It is, yeah.
And it's kind of funky. It's It's interesting. I mean, it's a 24 fret. What model is it?
It's the PXM10 or PMX10. I'm pretty dyslexic with letters. It's the Parallax. They have a series called Parallax, and it's a full-on shred guitar. It's really hot-rodded. It's the first time I've ever had a 24 fret, and it's got the Stevens cutaway. And the Nuno guitar had this for years, and I never really understood what it was about because I would see it from the front.
Okay.
But when you look at it from the back, it's a very, very different cutaway and allows you to get all the way up to the last fret in comfort. So it's kind of like playing naked. And
okay.
I always like the original Floyd Rose.
Okay.
Yeah, that's got the best medals on it. Other than that, it's pretty standard. I have a push-pull here and 5-way switching for the pickups. In this particular one, I have 3 different models, and I'm kind of experimenting with different things with each one. And this is a controller for the Fishman wireless MIDI system. So,
all right.
So here's the pickup for it, hex pickup, and this sends signal to a USB dongle in my laptop to access sounds. I mean, when I was with Jeff Beck, I had a ridiculous amount of equipment to do MIDI guitar. I mean, a rack full of stuff.
Okay.
Physical rack units for sounds.
Really?
MIDI converters, 13-pin cable, and this is just wireless. Just boom.
It blows everything away.
And it's very quick, yeah.
Wow.
So I have that in this. I just recently switched out to the Fluence pickups. They're very quiet and just a different thing for me. This is this second set of gigs I've used them on, so it's in experimental mode.
Good.
The Parallax typically comes with Duncan pickups, which I've been with Duncan for maybe 30 years.
Wow. Okay.
Long time.
All right.
Long time. So.
And you're going with the Fluence right now.
Yeah.
You're liking them.
It's an experiment.
All right. All right.
I'm checking it out. Yeah, it's got a very slick neck. It's very fast, very, very comfortable, as opposed to some of those necks that have a really wide, rounded baseball bat kind of neck.
Okay.
In fact, the first Jeff Beck Fender that came out, people love Jeff, and they'd get the guitar and go, "What the hell is this?" You know, take it to the luthier, get it shaved down, and eventually they had to come out with another model that had a more reasonable neck. Yeah. And this is a string damper. I put this on all my guitars. Funny enough, it's called the BATTEN string damper, which you can find at batten.com.
All right.
But, I started using these kind of devices in the 80s when I got into tapping, because it just mutes them. It just mutes the strings.
All right.
So especially if you have distortion and you have all 8 fingers going, you can't control the open strings from ringing out. So if I need open strings or harmonics, I just flip it out of the way in a hurry. Yeah.
Great.
And other than that, it's a beautiful mahogany body, ebony fingerboard, maple neck, and you got to check it out.
Looks nice.
Yeah.
Looks very nice.
You fall in love.
Well, speaking about gear, another question I would have. I mean, obviously, you go into a gig. What would be like your piece of gear that would be a do not leave home without it, other than the guitar and the amp, obviously?
Whammy pedal.
Whammy pedal.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I've been using that for. It seems like everything's 30 years. Life started 30 years ago with the whammy pedal.
We'll just round it down. Don't worry about
Something like that. Yeah, I just took to that like a fish in water. And although there's a lot of modes that you can use, you can take it up an octave or dive bomb with it. Almost always, I have my solo sound set up to dive down a whole step.
Okay.
So it gives a slide guitar effect, and you can slide chords and single notes, and that's one thing. If they make shoes out of whammy pedals,
well, they start in Converse, I think, is actually starting with that. So
they're doing some wacky stuff.
I want to ask you about your albums. I checked them out, and Tribal Rage I thought was really, really interesting. And all the fusion, all the sounds you're getting in there. Is there a sound that you are still waiting for? Or have you explored, I mean, in like what Batten is working on, is there a sound that you're missing or that you just haven't gotten? Or?
Well, funny you should say that at this time, because the capabilities of the Fishman triple play is boundless. I mean, you can literally access any sound that a keyboard player has. So I'm just, well...
You're enjoying your new toy.
It's been maybe a year and a half that I've been digging into that. So, yeah, I'm sure it's around the corner.
Great.
I mean, you know, it just takes one sound to get a good sound to get really inspired and write a tune. Like with the whammy pedal, I was messing with the octave up mode one day and found it could sound like a cat having a fight. And so now I do a song called Cat Fight. And I just spurred a whole song.
Okay.
Because it's wicked sounding. Yeah. Yeah, you never know. You know, I remember years ago when I was at the music school, I was thinking, all the sounds are taken. Pat Metheny has his sound, Jeff Beck has his sound, Van Halen, George Lynch, there's nothing left. And then somebody else will come along and go, well, that's new. And that just shows you that it's boundless.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I get
you just spend enough time with the instrument and you'll come up with something.
Perfect. Speaking again with Tribal Rage, I mean, you worked with different instruments, African sounds.
Yeah.
What would you consider, or what would you like about Mexican sounds or Latin American sounds? I mean, have you worked with Latin sounds before? What's the sound that you most like? Or
more with percussion than anything.
Okay. All right.
The groove.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really special groove, and I love. That's one thing about traveling that I love is really immersing in ethnic music in different parts of the world.
Okay.
I remember on Michael Jackson's Bad tour, we were in Istanbul, and I happened upon a record shop and just smoked up a credit card. You know, getting this,
Really?
I mean, long time before the internet.
Are you serious?
When you would not hear that stuff, or you really
get
had
it,
to
sure.
search. Yeah. So,
Wow.
yeah, I'm always inspired with that. I listen to Peter Gabriel's Real World label, because he's always discovering
New stuff.
Ethnic music
All right.
around the world.
Perfect. Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for your time. Is there anything you would like to add?
I would. I have a new record coming.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's with an amazing
Then we're not done
singer.
yet. Please tell us.
Yeah. An amazing singer named Mark Shear.
Mark Shear.
Yeah. And he's got a couple of records out, and originally they invited me in to do some sessions, and I really dug it, and they felt the same way. So now it's called the Shear BATTEN Project.
The Shear BATTEN Project.
Yeah.
Shear BATTEN Project.
Yeah.
When is that coming out?
I think in the spring.
Really?
Yeah. I've been touring so much this year. It's every time I come home, there's a new session, and I'm like, okay. And then they go, we want this done by Christmas. And I go, I'm going to be in South America. I can't work on this for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I get it. Oh man, well that's awesome. So, can we get our hands on something now? Like now with the media, or YouTube or whatever, is there a single, something that we can get our hands on?
Yeah, I'm sure there's stuff on YouTube, and also he's got a Facebook page. It's Mark M-A-R-C, and oh God, I better get this right. S-C-H-E-R-E-R, Shearer.
Okay, Mark Shearer.
Yeah.
All right, the Shearer BATTEN Project.
Yeah.
All right, we'll look it up. Don't worry
about
it.
He's also did a record with Jim Petterick.
Okay.
Who was one of the guys in Survivor. Eye of the Tiger, that big hit.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's stuff out there that you can check out. Yeah.
Great. Perfect.
Yeah, beautiful voice.
Well, that's great to know that. I mean, it's not just clinics and stuff. I mean, you're still doing, and great to having you with us. Thank you so much, Jennifer.
I'm doing whatever has a check at the other end. Which means a lot of different stuff, man. It's crazy life.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Jennifer.
Cheers. Oh, so what were you saying about Donald Trump? Oh, God. Fuck that guy.